Okay, 5 minutes. Do people in Taiwan care about people with disabilities? The answer is, surprisingly, yes. People in Taiwan do care about people with disabilities. Some people care. And I thought I would just make a journal entry today to highlight that and to highlight something that happened to me the other day that was very positive and very caring. It's very easy for me to see the pricks, easy to see the difficulties, easy to point out the problems. I know that, my friends know that I have a tendency to want to focus on that, but something happened the other day that was like pretty cool. So I thought I would share that. But like first, whoa, what's going on in Nepal? I've been watching all these videos on Instagram about the situation there, and that is just, wow, amazing, but not surprising, right? I mean, I know I've got like a viewership of about like 4 to 5 people, so, I guess my opinion on this just is completely irrelevant and nobody cares and nobody's watching, but like, holy shit, like what a wild situation. But like I said, not surprising, right? It's like you've got people who are building golden castles with taxpayer money, living right in the middle of people who literally have nothing, no resources, no jobs, no income, struggling to survive. And you've got dude with golden castles whose children are traveling around the world, taking pictures of themselves at 5-star hotels, buying Louis Vuitton and driving Ferraris. And I mean, yeah, I don't think that violence is the ultimate solution. I don't think it should be the solution. I don't think it should have to be the solution. But I understand. Yeah. So, you know, uh, I think if you can only get away with like being that level of asshole for so long, right? Like before people are going to be pissed about it and they're going to fight back. You can't force people into poverty and then drive your Ferraris around the street and not have people be upset about it, and just like shut up and, go back to their shitty lives of hunger and despair and just be like cool, So it's wow. But I totally get it. I think there's a lot of anger in the world, a lot of anger in people. And, there should be sometimes. I mean, like anger isn't the problem. You know, that that's not the issue. The issue is and are the things that are creating the anger. Anger is just a natural response to oppression and discrimination and just being fucked over, right? So I get it. But on a positive note, do people in Taiwan care about disability? And the answer is yes. I've been going to this cafe in at the Taiwan Arts University. I don't think that's the official name. Sorry, I don't know the official name, but it's kind of in my neighborhood around the Guangdu area. There's a big university. It's an arts university. Beautiful campus, so nice. And they have a few cafes there that I now go to because it's in my backyard and they're nice and I like a cafe. And this thing has happened where the cafe that I like to go to is sort of in the same building as an art museum. And in order for me to get to the cafe, I need to go in through a big road and then go into this big kind of like public square area. And then there's a ramp that goes up to the museum. I have to go into the museum, go to an elevator, take the elevator up to the cafe, and then I can get inside. And this whole area, kind of like a public square area that is surrounded by the museum and some other buildings. They've been renovating this over the past month, and so I haven't been going to this cafe. They tore up all the road and the sidewalk and everything around there, and they've been redoing it, and it all looks like really amazing, except they're finished now, and one thing they did was they blocked the road with these metal kind of gates that are impossible for somebody like me using a wheelchair to get inside of. So I've like shown up to go to this cafe and it's completely blocked. There is a way for me to get in. Off to the far side of the road, there is this series of ramps that kind of will bypass that area. But if you don't use a wheelchair or you've never depended on the ramps, then you probably haven't noticed that a lot of these ramps that they've built, especially old ones, are ridiculous. They're like so hard to use because they like build these ramps super steep and super long. And I mean, I'm a strong guy. I'm going to the gym. I'm working out. I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I'm also not super weak. And going up this ramp is, holy shit, it's like climbing Mount Everest. It's a lot of work. And I kind of felt like, man, you know, like it doesn't make any sense because they've renovated this road and it's an easy access. And for people that are walking, they just can step over these metal kind of barriers. And the metal barriers make sense. They're to block cars, they're to block scooters from going into this big open public space. So I get it. They are there for a good reason. But they haven't allowed even a small space for anybody in a wheelchair to get through. That could be me. That could be you with your grandma, pushing grandma in a wheelchair. Maybe she wants to go get a coffee, you know? So it's just like poor design. Not poor design, maybe just like they forgot about that a little bit. I think that, you know, obviously the people renovating, the people designing these spaces don't have disability. They don't use these ramps. They don't really know what the experience is like. And so it's sort of an afterthought. And I get that. I'm not upset about that or angry. That's just kind of the way it is. I mean, you know, if I was designing that area, I wouldn't be like primarily thinking about, you know, cyclists or, you know, some other activity that I don't participate in. So on that level, I totally get it. But, you know, when it comes down to it, like I still want to go to the cafe. I mean, I'd like to be able to go in there. And unfortunately for me, I have to use a wheelchair, and that's my only way in. So, long story. I'm going to wrap up my 5 minutes soon. But so I went to the cafe the other day, dealt with this. I was at these metal gates, and two students saw me kind of like trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? How would I get over these? How am I going to get in there? And they actually helped lift one of these metal barriers and move it over to the side so I could get in, which is super awesome. Like, thank you, mysterious art students, like, fucking cool. Two of them together lifted this heavy ass thing and moved it over so I could get in, so I can get my coffee. And that was awesome, you know, and like that shows that like people care, you know, that they do see me and do want to help. But then again, I'm like, I go in, they have to put the barrier back, and now I can't leave. So I took the opportunity to say something to the front desk people at the museum. There was a young student working there, and something about her look, I just knew she could speak English. So I wanted to let her know that I would appreciate it if she would just pass on the message to somebody like, hey, maybe think about, redesigning the entryway to that road. I think it could be easy to kind of create a space for wheelchair users to go in. And I felt like she listened to me and was taking me serious. And then you know, did that, felt good about it. I didn't communicate in an annoyed, irate way. I just said, thank you for hearing me. Please pass it on. I'd appreciate that. And she did, because as I was drinking my coffee, this guy came up to me. Turns out his name is David Cheng. And he happens to be the director of the museum. Yeah, I think that's what it says in Chinese. But this guy came up to me in the cafe, and he was super friendly, super nice, and said that he heard about, my struggle getting in, and he wanted to know, like, what could they do to help? And he actually asked me if I had any solutions in mind, which I was just like, oh my God, yeah. Like, that's like, how do you know? That's what I want to be asked. Like, because I've got them. I can make you a list right now. Like, I'm fast. I don't even need to think about it. So that was really cool. I was just like really impressed that somebody actually came up to hear me and, ask me what I thought about what could be done. And I knew exactly what. So, I had some paper and a pen like I usually do. And I just kind of sketched out. I sketched the road out, showed the barriers, and just kind of like quickly showed what I think could be easily done with zero expense to create a space so that people like me with wheelchairs can come in and enjoy a tasty coffee or a bagel sandwich at the cafe, And he said thank you, and he said that they're on it and they're going to do something about it. So, man, let me see this. Does that focus? This guy. David Cheng from the, I can't even see without my glasses anymore. My reading glasses, honestly, I can't even see that. David Cheng from the Kwandu Museum of Fine Arts. Yeah, thank you so much. People like David do care and do want to help. And I just want to make sure that I capture one post that acknowledges that there are people who do care and want to help and do want to listen to people like me struggling with a disability and struggling to get on with my life and enjoy things just like everybody else, and I know that it's sometimes really easy for me to fall into a place of just being like really bitter and really resentful and, like negative about it, because I do feel upset. I do feel angry because it is really hard. Like I do want to enjoy my life. I do want to be happy. I do want to have fun. I do want to laugh. I want all the things that everybody wants. And yet, with the disability is creating like so many daily challenges that it's just like, it sometimes starts to feel like nobody cares, and like there's like everything's in my way, and people just don't give a shit, and that's not entirely true. Maybe it's not true at all, but I'm seeing that there are people in Taiwan who do care and do want to do something and are willing to listen. And so thank you. I appreciate that. Happy, what is today? It's Friday. Happy Friday. Let's go.